And I think that's one of the biggest lies that social media is talking about. Saying, oh, he's going to cut free lunches. That's not a thing. It's not. So it's really important to get the truth out there. And that's why I think it's really important what you're doing today and sitting down and having a face-to-face conversation. We don't do that anymore.
Hi, this is Congressman Richard Hudson. I'm here today with Americans for Prosperity talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill. We're talking to folks from my community about the impact on them and their families and their businesses. It's great to get the truth out and let people know how this One Big Beautiful Bill is going to make their lives better. It's going to make the future better for them and their children. Well, I appreciate y'all being here today to have a little meal with me and talk a little bit about the One Big Beautiful Bill and how it impacts you and our community. Do y'all have any questions about the bill?
You know, I've heard different things, pros and cons, and really don't know much about it. But the main thing I'm concerned about is the taxes helping us, small businesses, relief there, and possibly, I don't know if this relates to it or not, but health care, because, you know, we work for ourselves, so we have to buy our own health insurance.
No, there's a lot in the bill to help small business owners, specifically on the health insurance side. We've expanded health savings accounts and let you put more money into health savings accounts pre-tax, so you can put aside your own money to pay your health care costs. I think rather than the government taking care of you, we want you to take care of yourself. Yeah. We want to make it easier for you to save money and pre-tax to help pay those costs. So that's a big benefit of the bill. As far as tax relief, without this bill, we would have seen the largest tax increase in American history at the end of this year. Oh, wow. And so for a small business, if you're not a C Corp, if you're a pass-through entity, you would have seen a 40% tax increase. So think about what that would do to your bottom line. But we also we doubled the amount of immediate expensing you can do to $2.5 million, and allowing you, so if you want to expand, if you want to buy new equipment, you can deduct that expense in 1 year. So we think that'll help a lot of businesses out there, and I think it'll also create a whole lot of economic activity in our community as businesses are expanding and hiring people and buying things.
Yeah, it's got to.
Yeah.
Will this be dated when it passed January 1st of this year, or does it start? So retroactive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you bought something in 2 months before it passed, you should be able to claim that.
Yeah, everything goes back to the beginning of the tax year.
Good. Yeah. That's good.
We want to, I'm really concerned about the debt out there, and this bill does a significant amount of savings, not just cutting spending in the government, but cutting the mandatory spending, the kind of autopilot spending we have that every year just keeps ramping up. We were able, by cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, to cut $1.6 trillion, which is the largest cut we've ever seen. And it's on the mandatory side, and so that means over the 10-year window you get 1.6 trillion, but it will expand and be even more savings as the out years go on. Now, I personally would have cut more. I think we could have found more savings, but 1.6 is a good start.
And will that be an ongoing thing as far as finding more fraud, essentially?
Well, this was the first of what we hope are 3 bills that we'll do through reconciliation process. So we'll do a second bill this fall and hopefully a 3rd bill next spring. Okay. They won't be as large in scope. I mean, we basically took the Donald Trump campaign promises and put them all in one bill.
Good.
Because not only is it tax relief, it's spending cuts, but it pays for increase in defense spending. And it gives the president the money he needs to secure the border with $46 billion to finish the wall. Also $8 billion for new technology, so we can stop the fentanyl that's coming across, which is really important. And then we unleash American energy, which is so important. I mean, we've got high interest rates, and we saw inflation under Joe Biden. It's going down a little already, but if we can really unleash American energy, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, well, why does it matter to me if we unleash American energy? I said, well, it only matters if you need something that needs to be made or shipped. Because if the cost of energy go down, then it becomes cheaper to make things. It's cheaper to ship things. Right. That drives inflationary pressures down. We also have provisions in this bill as far as permitting reform, so that you can build things quicker. Right. You know, a lot of folks talk to me about, you know, how long it takes just to get approvals to build something and you know, that's a real barrier for folks. So we want people to be able to manufacture here in America, hiring Americans, making things for Americans.
Which will essentially boost the economy anyway. So it's pretty
Because
good.
we'll create more jobs, it will help
Right.
everybody else, everything will be made here, and then pretty much we all helping each other and then making it.
Then we could start exporting things to the rest of the world.
So my question is, how would these help us, like me as a veteran, I'm a business owner, how would these bill help the veterans trying to start a business or, you know, do upgrades or get new equipment and everything brand new or anything towards like the veteran area?
Well, you know, there's a lot of different policies in here that will help folks like you. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. One of the honors of my life is I get to represent Fort Bragg,
Yeah.
largest Army base in the world. We call it the epicenter of the universe. Some of the greatest Americans you'll ever meet serve there, and either in uniform or their family members. And it's really important we give them the resources they need. I want them to have the best training, the best equipment, so that they can go perform the very tough jobs they do and then come home safe. So that was real important that we expand our spending on the defense side. But in terms of once you get out and want to start a business, you know, some of the biggest barriers to entry and starting a new business are all the cost and all the expenses. And so the ability to expense those investments in 1 year rather than having to spread them out over many years, I think that's a you know, particularly somebody who's starting a business, being able to do that 100% expensing.
Starting is always the hardest thing to do.
Well, the other thing, you know, we really put an emphasis on trying to tackle waste, fraud, and abuse in the government, because there's a lot of folks that depend on the Medicaid program, for example, or on the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutritional Food Stamps. There's people that really depend on that to survive, but there are a whole lot of other people that were getting those benefits that don't qualify. Either they're an illegal or unlawful citizen here in the country, or that just didn't qualify for the benefits, or there's a whole lot of folks who are able-bodied that don't have any dependents that refuse to work. And so we put a work requirement in that says you've got 20 hours a week, so it's not a whole lot compared to how many hours y'all are working a week. But you either need to be working, or you need to be in school, or you need to be in some kind of training program or a drug rehab program. And we exempt anybody, again, who has a dependence, who has alcohol or drug addiction, mental health issue. Those folks are exempted. But if you're able-bodied, no dependent, and you want to stay on one of these programs, you got to work.
And I think that's one of the biggest lies that social media is talking about. Saying, oh, he's going to cut free lunches. That's not a thing. It's not. So it's really important to get the truth out there. And that's why I think it's really important what you're doing today and sitting down and having a face-to-face conversation. We don't do that anymore. And I just really admire you for your work. And as a mother, I think that one of my biggest passions is protecting children and protecting their innocence. And so my question for you would be, you know, with the border being closed and just new, you know, technology to keep children safe, how do you see closing the border affecting future generations, and as far as their safety? And you know, 300,000 children were trafficked across the border. Where are they now? You know, it's insanity, and it's vile and it's evil. And I think that that's one thing that I, in 2020, really, you know, started learning about, and it just breaks my heart. I'm just thankful. I just would love to hear your thoughts as far as keeping children safe in schools, you know, and just overall, how would this bill affect future generations?
Great question. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the heart you have where that question comes from, because I mean, I have tremendous compassion for these folks. I mean, you know, but what is real compassion? Is it a President Joe Biden who invited all these kids, who encouraged parents to give their children, their babies, to the cartels, to bring them across this dangerous journey north, because they had this hope of America? I understand that. They were lied to. And you know, all these young girls, you know, showing up pregnant, horrific. And I was at the border with some other members of Congress, and two of them from Texas walked over. There was a group of young boys, I'd guess 12 years old, 14 years old, and one of the congressmen spoke Spanish, so he started asking the boys, "Where are you from?" They were Central America, and he said, "How much did you pay the cartel to come?" And they said, "We didn't pay. We have this phone number," and they had a Sharpie written the phone number on their arm. It says, "When I get to, Houston, I call this number, and I'm going to work until I pay off the money."
And they'll never pay it off, and that's the goal.
And are they working in sex trafficking?
Yes,
Are they working in the drug trade? What are they doing? But I believe the cartels built a network. And so is it compassionate to create that kind of system, or is it true compassion to secure the border and have a legal process where people can come? My heart breaks for these children. A lot of them missing. The Biden administration lost track of them. We can do better than that.
Yeah, another question for you would be, why do you think that this bill was met with so much opposition?
It's a good question. Every single Democrat in Congress voted against this bill. Every single Democrat in Congress voted for the largest tax increase in American history. They voted against money to secure the border. They voted against more money for the military. They voted against unleashing American energy. And the tough thing was we weren't even dealing with facts. We weren't having a debate over facts because they were pushing a false narrative that they actually started saying before we had finished writing the bill, which was that we were going to cut Medicaid to pay for tax cuts for the rich. And they always say that. That's kind of, they've been saying that for decades. But they were literally out there saying they're going to cut Medicaid, and we hadn't written the bill yet. And the truth is that we wanted to protect Medicaid for the most vulnerable who depend on it.
That's right.
But there was so much waste, fraud, and abuse that we wanted to eliminate to save the program. Right. And on tax cuts, we focused on middle class, working families. The tax cuts that really impact the most people. Looking at the small business tax cut, which most people work for a small business that are employed. That's where the jobs are. And small businesses here in North Carolina would have seen a 40% increase in taxes. That would have been devastating. Yeah. And it was unfortunate, really, the Democrats took that posture. But I think also part of their opposition was driven by the fact that we eliminated Green New Deal policies, which I believe is basically choosing winners and losers, picking one industry over another, and driving. It all starts with sort of this climate agenda. But what it means is higher prices for energy for your home, for your business, and investing your tax dollars in a whole lot of things like electric vehicle credits for very wealthy people here in this country, pushing policies that otherwise don't make economic sense unless we give them your tax dollars. And so we eliminate those programs. And so I think that was something the Democrats were upset about, but I'm very proud of.
Yeah, we're cutting the nonsense for them.
Yeah, that doesn't help the hard worker. They're starting businesses. No. The hard worker, they're trying to get better in life and stuff, and that doesn't even make sense.
No, we're taking your tax dollars and giving it to a wealthy person out in California to buy an EV.
How would that bill be with the percentage of taxes now that it's passed and come tax season? How would that affect or help and businesses and families?
Well, it's a great question. This bill prevented the largest tax increase in American history because a lot of those Trump-era tax cuts were set to expire at the end of the year. And what that means for your average family in North Carolina is almost $10,000 more take-home pay next year. That's real money. And the Council of Economic Advisors said that North Carolina wages are going to go up as a result of this bill between $3,500 and $6,500 next year. So again, your working folks out there are going to see real money in the bottom line because of the policies in this bill. And hey, if you work on tips, no tax on tips. If you work overtime, no tax on overtime. Seniors are also going to see their Social Security tax decreased. And most folks now pay taxes, they use the standard deduction. Well, we've increased the standard deduction. So 91% of taxpayers are going to see benefits from that. We've also increased the child tax deduction tax credit.
How much has the child tax credit gone up with the new bill?
Well, without the bill, the child tax credit would have been cut in half.
Oh, wow.
But we not only extended the $2,000 credit permanently, but we increased it to $2,200 per child.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Well, I really appreciate y'all making time to
Yeah.
visit with me today. I really appreciate your feedback and questions. I hope that we can get the word out to folks that Republicans in Congress, working with President Trump, passed the one big beautiful bill, and it's going to have a real positive impact on everybody, particularly working families, particularly the folks out there who work for small business or run small business. This is it's going to create a whole lot of prosperity for our middle class and working families. Good. The average family again in North Carolina is going to see about $10,000 more take home next year because of this legislation. It's a real impact. It's going to make our community safer. It's going to unleash American energy, and it's don't believe the lies you hear out there.
Oh, I
Look at the facts.
That's why I'm here.
Well, thanks for clearing a lot of it up.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what to believe, half what you see and nothing you hear no more.
Yeah, these days a lot of people just start something and just everybody believes
Just
it.
roll with it.
Yeah.
Just tell me the truth, I can handle it.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we really appreciate
Thank you.
coming out
Thank
here.
you.